Good morning, everyone. Welcome back into my kitchen, Cooking with Carol Diane. Today, I'm going to use these apples. Now, a couple weekends ago, my husband and I went to an apple orchard where I live, just right down the street from me. And these are Gala and Fuji apples, and they're quite good, they really are. These are all washed and ready to go for what I'm going to make today in two different recipes. I'm going to make something to begin with, and then I will jump right on over into kind of my meal of what I'm having tonight. Pretty simple and yet really tasty. It's a couple of weeks until autumn begins, although you wouldn't know it because I'm already seeing signs of fall everywhere I look. You know, the trees are turning in color, and as soon as we get rid of this little heat wave this week, I think next week we're going into cooler temperatures, and that'll be great. So anyway, when I showed you my apple cake, that was so delicious, so delicious. I talked about my great-grandfather, the one that was in this picture right here, sitting down by either an apple orchard or just an apple tree. I really don't know which. I know that in my other video I kept saying an apple orchard, but I don't know. You know, it's been long time ago, and it was never written on the back of the picture or any information that I got on my great-grandfather, whether it was an orchard or just a tree. But there he sits with all these apples in his lap. This was my great-grandfather, Charles Michael, and the Charles name has trickled down in my family 6 generations, not 5. I got off my video and I thought, I think I'm missing someone. I think there's more than that. So I had to get out my genealogy book that I wrote long time ago when I did genealogy so intense. And sure enough, I did. I missed my nephew, and I do apologize for that because I hope he doesn't get mad at me, but he just kind of slipped through the cracks and I didn't mean to. So my great-grandfather, the one right here in this picture, is Charles Michael. Then my grandfather of Roy Charles. Then my father of Farrell Charles. I have a brother named Charles Barnett, and he named his firstborn son Travis Charles. That's the one I forgot, and I'm so sorry. Then I came along and I named my youngest son Troy Charles. So that's 6 generations of the Charles name. Okay, so I got it in there, and I got that my great-grandfather, you know, liked apples, and so that's what I'm going to be using today. And this two of my recipes are these wonderful apples. So then over this particular weekend, husband and I just we took it easy over Labor Day weekend. You know, we didn't go anywhere and all the mass of people of camping and this, that, and the other. We just didn't. We stayed home and just did kind of a couple of little things. No honeydews or no anything that is strenuous or anything. Just kind of went places and relaxed and did nice things. And one of them, yes, was this huge yard sale that we went to. We stopped. And I got a little fall apple plate. And the reason why I picked this up, because I have a couple of them, but this one I really liked. One, I liked all the colors of it. And 2, was that it has the recipe for what I'm going to make today on this simple little apple pie. Now, if you've already made an apple pie, you know they're pretty easy. And this one certainly is. This one just calls for some sugar, flour, cinnamon, nutmeg, of course the apples, and some butter, and you bake it, and that's about it. Really, that's about it. So this recipe is the one I'm going to start with on the apple pie. And to begin with, what I like to do is I like to take just a little bit of butter. You can use vegetable shortening if you want to, but I just take a little bit on a napkin, a clean napkin, and I kind of grease up my pie pan here, and that's what I'm going to do with this cute little fall pan. Get it all nice and greased up so that my crust does come out of it nice, hopefully. You never know with me, you really don't. Okay, so to get you started on the simple little pie, and I'm not gonna do a homemade pie crust. Why should I when I already have one box here of the Pillsbury pie crusts that are already done, and that's what I'm gonna use. Okay, so in just a regular little bowl, first set your oven to 425 degrees because we're gonna bake this pie for 40 to 50 minutes. Get you 3/4 of a cup of sugar, that's to begin with. They're calling for 2 tablespoons, which I've already got in my little dish right here of flour, just all-purpose flour, any flour you have in your house. And then they call for 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I like to buy mine in these large jars right here that I get at Sam's Club. I get my pepper there and a lot of spices. I get these and then I reuse these. I take these and the little stickers that are on here, oh, they peel off really easily with hot water. And then I can put some of my dried herbs in there. So that's always kind of nice too. Reusing things as I go, which I like to do. Okay, so there's a teaspoon. My oven just told me it's already preheated now at 425, so that's great. There's my teaspoon of cinnamon, and we're gonna go 1 teaspoon of, well, actually I'm gonna go a 1/2 teaspoon. Well, let's see, there's an awful lot of apples. Let's jazz it up and go with the full teaspoon. Why not? Why not? It's my pie. It's my kitchen. I'll cook the way I want to. I really will. There, that'll make it nice, won't it? Okay, so I've got all those ingredients in here, and we're just gonna kind of let this sit for just a minute while I take now the apples. And like I said, that was one of the sticklers that the man said to me when we got going on getting the apples. We got a nice little apple basket, one of the little wood kind of apple baskets, and they were cute. He had kind of a small, medium, and large. We got the more medium size. It was for this whole bowl of apples, it really was. And so way down in here, because these are all of the Gala apples. So way down in here are these are the Fuji apples that are the red apples. Now, I certainly could use them only in this pie, but I'm not going to. I'm saving this for my next recipe, so we'll just save them aside. So I will be pausing this because you'll need 6 cups of apples. So what you want to do is, of course, easy, peel the apple, get all the skin off of it. Hold it off there. You know, I used to be able to peel an apple all the way around without stopping of the peel. Can't do that anymore somehow. Can't do that anymore. Okay, and then just cut it in half. Take that part, cut that in half. Get off the little top. Make sure you get all the seeds out of there. And then what I do is I just start peeling them like this so that they are, I don't know, probably a 1/4 inch on the thickness. And that's where I'm going to put all of this now. I'll count as I go when I come back on and tell you how many apples actually made the 6 cups. Because mine vary. I have some larger apples here, and then I have some smaller ones. But that's the beginning of making this wonderful little pie. So hang tight with me, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have prepared all of the apples as far as peeling them and slicing them. It took 6 apples, so I guess you could say 6 cups, 6 apples, depending on your apple, depending on if it is small, medium, or large. Okay, I'm going to stir up my mixture of the flour, the sugar, the cinnamon. I'm going to change this recipe just a tiny little bit in that I'm going to add just a little bit of brown sugar to mine. So I know I went by what was on the apple pie plate of the recipe, but you can always change things in your kitchen, and that's what I'm going to do. So I brought out my brown sugar. I have in my little brown sugar, I have this little terracotta. This one's a little hummingbird, and it's to be put in here so that my brown sugar never clumps up and gets hard and everything, and it works. This is on my website, www.cookingwithcaroldiane.com. Under the gadgets, just scroll down and you'll see it. And I've put a link of where you can purchase that because it works. Okay, I'm going to add, I don't know, not quite 1/4 of a cup, about half of the 1/4 of a cup in here because I just want a little bit more jazz to my apple pie. And this will definitely give it to me. Okay, now we're going to pour the apples into here, into the dry mixture so that I can get them all nice and coated with all of this. Pretty easy so far, huh? Yeah, those are my recipes. Kind of quick and easy. Simplified. Simplified. If you're used to tossing, go ahead and do that. That always gets that brown sugar everywhere also. All right, set that aside, and now I'm going to open the pie crust here. I am still going to use my, probably just kind of part of it here, of my pie paste, the pastry cloth. I don't have to use all of it. I'm going to use a little section of it here. Get it coated with a little bit of flour and on the sleeve of my rolling pin. Take out the first one, set it here, and undo the second one and have it ready. These are great. Like I said, if you don't want to go from scratch, which there's nothing wrong with using the ones that are already made for you. There's nothing wrong with it. People use them every day. Every day. It's just, yes, homemade is better. It is, but there's nothing wrong with these. Sometimes they're all hard to get off the tip there. I like to always add just a little bit of flour in there to get mine started. This one's still pretty cool from being in the refrigerator. You just open them up. And yes, to have this come out where it does fit in my pie plate, I got to give it just a little bit of a helping hand. And to do that, it means to roll it and get it just a little bit larger. Just a little larger. Because I definitely want it to fit in my pan with a little extra on the side, which it will be. Fold it over, grab my pie pan. I'll put the apples towards you, only you won't see them here in just a minute. You really won't see it. Okay, put your crust in. Fold it back open. Make sure it fits down in there. All the way in there. Okay. Looking pretty good so far, huh? Then we're going to take the apples, put them all in here. Don't worry if you didn't get them all coated with the dry mixture, because it will. It's all going to go in here. Like so. Smooth it around. Just a little bit here. Then what I'm going to add is just a few little dollops. I always sneeze every time I get on camera. Dot it with butter. So I'll go 1, 2, 3. 3 soft, maybe a little bit more, of the butter right in your pan of all your ingredients. That looks nice so far, doesn't it? But we are going to put a top on it. And it's up to you whether you want to get fancy with the top of your apple pie or just have it regular. Today, I think I'm just going to do just a regular. I apologize. Nose is itching today. Fall is in the air. It definitely is. It's around the corner. It's a-coming. But what cracks me up are all the stores with all, not only fall, we have the starting of, yes, Halloween in October, going right into Thanksgiving, and Christmas is already out in the stores. Yep. All 3 occasions. Which just kind of cracks me up, it really does. Because I'm not ready for, I'm ready for Halloween, but I'm sure not ready for Christmas around the corner. I'm really not. My theme this year, I'll go ahead and give it away at the end of the video. I'll show you what I've put out, just a couple of things that I've decided this year on fall, going into the Thanksgiving time, is I didn't want to go with just the standard of turkeys and pumpkins, so I'm not going to. This summer, I have done a lot with fruit. So I'm starting with fruit because, you know, like this, I've done now the apples, peaches, that I've done my peach salsa. I did the grapes for doing grape jellies. And so I think this year I'm going to stick with fruit idea, and I'm going pheasants. I'm going to go pheasants. You know, at Thanksgiving time, it's not all about just a turkey. In fact, the pioneers, when they didn't have a turkey, couldn't shoot a turkey, didn't have one, they had to eat other things. And lots of times it was a beautiful golden goose that they would roast, to a duck, yes, pheasants. And rock Cornish game hens is another favorite of mine. If it's just my husband and I sitting down at the table at a holiday, I will fix the rock Cornish game hens. I really will. I like them. They're just really, really tasty. Same thing with the crust now. But we're putting it on the top. Same thing. Okay. So because I have overflow, which is fine, I'm going to go ahead and tuck mine under the pie layer of the first layer. Just tuck it under there. If you feel you have just a little bit too much, then cut some off. But I want to have mine kind of thicker on the outside here. I really do. I want that little crunch. And I went with the Gala on the apples for my pie instead of the Fuji. Well, for one, I didn't have that many. Oh, I might have had enough to do this pie with the Fuji, the red apples, which are a sweeter apple. But truly, these other ones have a very nice sweet taste. They're crisp, crunchy and crisp, which I like. And so I think on this pie, they're going to be just fine. They're going to be fine. But see, I'm really not worried about that. I'm using all of the crust. Again, either take 2 fingers and the index finger to make your scallop all the way around. You've already got your butter in there. You've got everything in the pie that you really need. Now we're just making the little decorative border. And this one's not really fancy at all. Like I said, sometimes I get really carried away on my pie crust, but this one I'm not today. Okay, and now you're going to put little slits in the top for air, for the steam, everything to come out. So put several. Got an apple on that one. Put several in there. Then do an egg wash, which I've already got my teaspoon of water in here. And now I'm going to do an egg. And I'm just going to do the white part of the egg. That's all I need. Swish this around in the water. I went and got some more fresh chicken eggs over the weekend. Got a couple of green ones. That's the particular chicken that lay either brown or green eggs. And I think they just are colorful and nice. I like to set my eggs out when they're not refrigerated and they haven't been washed. They can be set out for a good 2 weeks on your counter, and I love that I can grab an egg whenever I want to. And they're colorful. They really are. Okay, so first time people that have never made a apple pie. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. But I needed to use some of these apples, and I'm not making quite a dent in them just yet, but I will. Okay, so that's the apple pie right there. Now I'm going to put this in my oven, 425 degrees for about 40 to 50 minutes. But I'm going to clean this up right quick, and then I'm going to jump right into what I'm having with this. So hang on, stay tuned, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back to show you the second part now. Pie is in the oven, cooking away. What am I going to have next? I'm going to talk about some squash. I have 4 different little varieties right here. And if you're not familiar with squash, maybe you just don't know how to cook it or whatever, it's so simple, it really is. I think we all know what a zucchini squash looks like. They're the big ones like this. And they're great for so many things, you know, bread, zucchini bread, to putting this on the grill with, grilling it with tomatoes and all kinds of different things. Zucchini is very good, really. All of the squash here that I'm showing is very high in fiber and rich in antioxidants. And, you know, you got to have all that in your diet. So that's the zucchini right here. The yellow one here is my favorite of the spaghetti squash. Oh, I like spaghetti squash. Just by itself, with just some butter on it and salt and pepper, it's great. It really is. This right here is the butternut squash. And I'm going to be making a recipe with this probably over this weekend, just not today. The one that I am going to use is the acorn squash, which is another favorite of mine. I really like the little acorn. They look like a little acorn, you know. They really do. They look like a little acorn. So the very first thing I want to show you is that we need, and because it's just me going to eat this tonight, normally I would have gotten 2 of these to make 4 in a pan, but it's just me. Take you a good sturdy knife, and you're going to go right down the middle of this acorn, of cutting it in the middle, all the way down the middle. Now, it's like a pumpkin. It's got seeds in it. We're going to be taking those seeds out. So get your little trash bowl and take those out. You can dry the seeds, and you can plant your own acorn squash. Any of these that have a seed in it, you can do the same thing. Take it out and hollow it out so it's like that. Then I'm going to take my knife, and because I don't want it jiggling like that all over the place, I'm going to take a little bit off of the bottom here, flat, so it sits flat. Pretty handy, huh? Okay. Same thing with this one. Just take the bottom off. Again, get you a good sturdy knife to do this. Get rid of that. Take the seeds out of this. This is such a great little recipe on this one. It really is. It's good. I've cooked all of these squash, the different ones, over the years. And like I said, I kind of have my favorites because I love the spaghetti squash, but I started out with the acorn squash just being my favorite. I really did, because it's good. Real, real good. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a cookie sheet with some parchment paper on it, right here. I'm going to take a little dish and put some olive oil just in my little dish. And then we're going to set the acorn squash. And see how handy that was to cut off that bottom so it doesn't slide around? Yeah. Tricks and trade. Tricks of the trade. Get your acorn and squash and give it a generous bath of the olive oil. I'm using the extra virgin olive oil. If you just don't have olive oil in your kitchen, in your pantry, any kind of vegetable oil, I guess. You can even use butter. Lots of times I've just done these with butter. I really have. All right, now I'm going to put this in my oven along with the pie, and I'm going to cook this. I'm going to start with about 30-35 minutes. It may go 40 until this is nice and tender. We want the outsides, everything nice and tender. So let me pop that in right quick into this oven along with my nice little apple pie. Just kind of keep an eye on it. That's what you do. And then to go in my acorn squash, now I'm going to take my electric skillet here. And this recipe, you could go so many different variations. You really could. The original recipe calls for Italian sausage. I have to stay away from the Italian sausage. So I just got some regular sausage. You can get it any style that you want. Usually it comes in those long little rolls, you know, that you cook. But this one I think is going to do fine for me. There's 8 little patties in here. And I think this is going to be just enough for what I want on my acorn squash. So I'm going to put all this in here and start it cooking. Might help if I turn on the fire. Turn up the heat, Diane. Turn that heat up. Just kind of smash it around. It's going to come out looking a little bit like a fresh ground hamburger when you cook it. And that's kind of what you want. So I said you can use any sausage that you want. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because it's all going to get cooked anyway. Okay. So I'm going to set this aside and put it right here while I get a couple other things going here to go in this. I'm going to take a small little yellow onion because that's going to give it some flavor in there. This is all about flavor, comfort foods, yes, and flavor. My pie certainly will be. Okay, get rid of all of that. Cut this up. Said, if you've never cooked squash before, it's really quite simple and so tasty. They really are. So I have some summer squash growing in my garden right now. Of course, it's not ready yet, but it is out there. And last year I had about 4 nice size, about that size of my spaghetti squash. And I use it. I really do. There's a wonderful, don't know where he went. He took off on me. That's okay. There's a wonderful recipe for a spaghetti squash casserole. This recipe I'm going to put in the next cookbook that I'm doing, that it will have a lot more fall and different kind of recipes in it. Okay, so take this one now. Another stout onion. Really is. Pretty potent onion there. Whew, I don't know why I'm not getting these really strong onions here lately. That one is pretty strong. Get that wiped off right quick so I don't smell that anymore. Woo! That'll make you cry right now. You know it's fresh and good when it does that. Okay, then I'm going to take a red bell pepper. And again, we have to take out this is my trash bowl back here. I'm going to take out the insides of where all the seeds are. All those little seeds. And get it nice and cut up. This is a rather large bell pepper, so I don't know, we'll see if I want all of it. And get all those seeds out of there, did I? It's all right, it's not gonna hurt. Let me grab my serrated knife right quick. Turn on my ceiling fan, maybe it will help air out all that onion flavor here, scent of it. That one was pretty strong. Okay, little bite size. The acorns aren't that big, and you don't want them huge in there. Just little bite size. So what is this called that I'm making? It's called a stuffed acorn squash. Kind of like my stuffed pork chops that I did not that long ago. Everybody liked. And it's the same with these. These are also going to go in here. And like I said, I think you just need to kind of eyeball this. I mean, the recipe, my recipe calls for one nice big bell pepper, but really, for just the two little squash that I'm doing, this is probably plenty in it. All I need. Get that cooked up a little bit. You can see that it's cooking away. What we want. Chop that sausage up until it gets little bite size. This will probably make for 4. That's okay. All I have right now is the 2. Okay, so I will save this particular bell pepper. Save it over here. Then I'm going to take some celery. And I'm going to cut it right down the middle on each one of these. You can go with 1 stalk, or you can use 2. I like celery in things, so I've gone ahead and I'm going to do 2. And again, I'm just going to lightly, not lightly, I'm going to chop these up very fine, because they're going in my meat also. And I probably should have taken off take off the little hairs here. Some of them. Get rid of all that. Whether you do it before or after, it doesn't really matter as long as you get the job done. As long as you get it done. And see, I think the 2 of the celery stalks is enough of what I want. That's what I want, this 2. And you need to cook this in with your meat and the onions, because it all has to get nice and soft in here. They all have to cook and get soft. So again, that's what it looks like now that we have that in here. Now to get that celery nice and soft. Then I will go ahead and take, not the, then I'm going to take, sorry, forgot one little thing. See, I'm forgetting things here lately. Forgot my nephew, for sure, on the apples, that he is a Charles, descendant of Charles. There was one before my great-grandfather, which would have been my great-great-grandfather, that was Philip. But we don't know if Philip went by Charles, because in the genealogy, what it had was just a C. And I had my Aunt Carolyn was Carolyn B. She didn't have a middle name. It was just the initial B. So I couldn't really include Philip in it because I just don't know. I just don't know. Take your garlic. If you have a garlic press, that's fine. If you don't worry about it. Just cut it up fine and you'll be all right. I'm not adding a whole lot of garlic to this, just a little bit to give it flavor. I'll grab my salt and pepper. But I seem to have forgotten it too this morning. And in this, we will add a generous amount of salt, a generous amount of pepper, a little bit more pepper, a little bit more salt. There we go. Now that has to cook a little bit. And the last final little thing that I'm going to add, yes, is an apple. So I'm going to take the, these are the little Fuji apples, and I'm going to take one of them. Actually, this might be another Gala apple. Yeah, I think it is. That's all right. Whichever one. And I'm going to have little chunks of my apple in here. If I had some dried cranberries, a little bag of the dried cranberries, which I really like, I definitely would have put that in here for sure. I just didn't have any in the house right now. That's all right. Again, take out that middle part, get the seeds out, the stem off, everything off. And I chose a smaller apple because it doesn't require a whole lot of apple in this recipe at all. So while the acorns are cooking in there, this can just be simmering nice in your pot, whatever pot you have, whether you want to use an electric skillet like me, or whether you want to do them on the stove in a skillet, however you want to do. Just put your lid on it and let it simmer until you're ready to have it put in the acorns, to fill those acorns nice. And I have a couple other things to put in here, so don't go away thinking I'm all done after, well, I saw the ingredients of what she put in the acorn squash. No, you really haven't. Not quite yet. Not quite yet. And for several of you, that maybe skip through, well, I know how to make an apple pie. That's great if you know how to make one. But there's still some people out there that don't, believe it or not. And as easy as that was to use the already made pie crust, you still have to know how to have the other ingredients in with the apples to make your pie. So I'm showing people that have never made a pie what it's all about. Okay, I'll get my apples in here now. So now that's what it looks like. The meat is pretty well done, but there might be a couple of pieces. Like I said, just get that meat, the chunks of it, chopped up as much as you can. Unless you like large pieces of meat in with your squash. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to turn this down now because I had it on high. I'm going to turn it down to kind of a medium-low heat. And I'm just going to let that, like I said, simmer and cook until those acorn squash are nice and tender. Then I'll bring it back out, stuff it, and put the final ingredients on it to show you what my little dinner is going to be tonight. So I hope you stay tuned with me. I'll be right back. Okay, pie's out of the oven. Bet you wish you were at my house. I wish you were too, because the smell in here is great. So the pie, even though it cracks open in the middle because of the slits, this is what's going to happen with these store-bought. pie crust, which is okay. You know, it's still going to taste great. Everything's going to be fine. I'll probably put a dollop of whipped cream on it before I serve it, but for all intents and purposes, the pie is done. This now is the acorn squash that is out of the oven, and I wanted to make sure that it was, when I stuck a knife in it, it went all the way through just as if it was melted butter, and that's what it's done. Okay, so there is this part here, and then what I have cooked right here, already cooked right here. Now we're going to take this and fill the acorn squash just like a stuffed bell pepper would be. Just like a stuffed bell pepper. And stick all these little goodies in there. You know, you can get as much meat in them as you want, as much of the apples. Now again, this particular recipe had quite a bit. And that's okay. When I'm making stuffed bell peppers, if I have anything left over in my skillet, when I put my pepper on the plate, I just kind of add it, you know, a little scoopful of that on the side, because I don't want to waste any of it. This definitely would have gone for four of the acorn squash just fine. Just fine. So now I'm going to stuff it all with this very heartedly, putting it all in here because I want to get all of those goodies, especially the apples. Those apples in there, really good. So pile it on. Not going to hurt anything. Then I'm going to take some nice fresh, if you don't have the block of fresh of the Parmesan cheese, then go ahead with your just your little shakers of Parmesan cheese. But I happen to have this block, and so I'm going to take a whole bunch here and shred it and put it on top of my acorn squash. You can also, if you like a lot of cheese like this, then you can also put it inside your recipe. So don't be shy on the cheese. Go ahead and use as much as you like. Smells good. Really does smell good. And that's going to give it a nice flavor right there. All this melted cheese on here. And then I went out in my herb garden and I picked some thyme, some fresh thyme. And if you like to put it in your recipe, that's fine. But I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is take the sprigs and I'm going to put them, that's my oven telling me, my pie's already done. I already took it out. Just to let you know, oven, I already did it. Anyway, I'm going to put that just around this pan of it. And then I'm going to stick this back in my oven, 425 degrees, until that cheese melts. Let me turn off the timer. Everything in this house talks to me, screams at me. It really does. Okay, so I'm going to put that back in my oven, like I said, until that cheese is nice and melted. And again, if you want to put it into the mixture of the meat mixture, that's great too. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, squash is out of the oven. This is what it looks like now that it has had the cheese melt on it. And that's what we want. And the thyme gave it just enough of a flavor, of a scent in the kitchen that you want in here. You want to dive right in. So put it on a nice fall little platter. I said if I'd had 4 of these, that would have been even better. But I'm okay with these 2. You can add some more of your thyme on the plate, just for the garnish of decorations. And there you have a nice, look at that. Look at that. Now you have a nice comfort food again of homemade apple pie and the stuffed acorn squash. I think you're going to like it. Really, it's a pretty simple recipe. You can add whatever you want to. I said I probably, if I'd had them, put the dried cranberries in there. That's always a treat. But really, oh my gosh, it smells wonderful. And I'm not a real big sausage eater. I'm really not over the years. So like I said, take your Italian sausage, whatever. If you want to jazz these up and put it with hot sausage, oh my gosh, you know, for the people that really like that. Otherwise, if you don't and you have plain sausage and you did want to jazz it up, you know, get out a little cayenne pepper, get out the red pepper flakes and paprika and, you know, jazz it up that way if you want to. But I think this is going to be very, very tasty and very good. Catch me on my website, cookingwithcaroldiane.com, where you can buy my cookbooks and find little gadgets and different things. This one will be under the current posts on my website. And I hope you're having a grand week going into another wonderful weekend. I know I'm going to. And so this is from my kitchen to yours. Have a great start to your almost autumn season. Bye-bye now.